Okay, so the finish. Ryan Blaney is controlling the restart, and I'm thinking this thing is all but over, especially when he takes the white. There was nothing coming. The 99 had made a couple attempts to pass him on the outside. I mean, getting really close to the wall to no avail. It just didn't seem like it was going to happen. But as you saw in the turns 1 and 2, the key moment of the race that decided how that race finished in that 3-wide fashion was really the 12 getting too far ahead when he got through 1 and 2. When he got through 1 and 2, the 99 was still getting his together, trying to come back into whoever was behind him. The 8 comes off of turn 2. He's backing up, and the 12 had too much of a gap there, and it was a huge run. And then the 8, such a heads-up move to kind of shoot the middle gap there, because he's probably thinking that he's got such a big run, he's probably going to clear the 99, who at the time still didn't have a huge run coming. But the 8 made a bold move. I thought it was a great move. We just had one of those great finishes. And hats off to the drivers, because I know I'm saying hats off a lot. I got to come up with something else. We got to give credit to the 3 drivers, because none of them wiped each other out. They
hardly even touched.
Right? Like, great job, Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, Daniel Suarez, for them to just see how this thing was all going to play out. It's really what made such a great, fantastic finish. And hopefully, this gives some well-needed momentum for NASCAR to start their 2024 season.
Did somebody on this finish, whether it's Blaney, whether it's Suarez or KB, did somebody do something here that gave them an edge in this finish? Or is it just we're all holding down the gas and whoever gets there first wins?
Yeah, everyone's holding down the gas for sure. Blaney probably feels when he was probably put 3 wide to the bottom, he's probably thinking, oh, crap, I'm probably not in a good spot. But damn, he missed it by, it had to be 3 inches, 2 inches. Like, even the NASCAR needs to upgrade their photo finish camera, because that is, like, you see the ghost of the front end, right? You don't actually see the front end of the 99.
They did. They had a new little graphic to show who was leading at it when a caution came out, though. I saw that this week.
Oh, really?
But yeah, they need to call up horse racing, because they have like some serious high-tech photo finish stuff.
Oh, there's great technology out there for sure. But like,
guys, cameras are involved here. Okay, a horse is not going 200 miles an hour. The frames per second needed.
Jared, don't let your facts get in the way of our story.
Go ahead, continue.
Good point, Jared. Okay, you're right. But there's got to be something that can super duper slow-mo it without it being like a ghost of a car. Surely.
Yeah, in a couple of years from now, it'll get better.
Okay. Well, it clearly, the 99 car won by a nose or by an inch. We're not really sure. But, yeah, I mean, you would think who's got the most momentum is the car on the very outside, which is Daniel Suarez. So the key moment and why he won that race is he came off the high line of turn 4. So he was the furthest towards the wall. Well, that racetrack, if you've ever been there in person, it actually kind of goes like downhill. When you come off of turn 4, the higher you are, the more downhill you're going to the start-finish line. I haven't seen anyone bring this up yet, but it's definitely factual that when the bottom car it's pretty level from the turn to the start-finish line, but the high line is going downhill. And I think that's why the 99 car won. It's momentum. He unwinds the wheel quicker. There's factors in it. But since the banking is 20-something degrees, it's higher, right? So you've been to a track, the wall's way up there. So if you start way up and you come down, the 99 car was coming downhill at the start-finish line, where the 12 was more on a level playing field. Do you think about that, Jared?
Yeah, I'm trying to watch the video and see if I can visually see it.
Yeah, you just need to look at the track and we drive on Talladega after the race every time, right?
Yeah.
You got to drive up the banking. So if you drive up, what goes up must come down. So the straightaways, since they are level, the banking is higher in the corners. So you come downhill, which is why you see us during qualifying at super speedways, we start at the wall before we come to green, and then we pull it down because we go downhill.
So just that little bit of angle.
Gave
Daniel just enough to edge out.
The Viva Las Mexico wins. You had the Indy debacle from many, many years ago where the tough part about that is the tires just blew out. Like there was no warning. The difference today was that you had a warning. If they blew out, you did not heed to the warning that they were about to blow out.
And what was the warning?
So your car would just drop grip dramatically. And in my mind, I guess I'll go into it. I was very fortunate to blow a tire in the first stage at the very end. I was leading with 6 to go in the first stage. I finished 15th. That is crazy. So what happened is with 6 to go, all of a sudden my car was like, holy shit, the right rear is falling off. Like it was just, I had no grip at all. So I was going into the corner, just wrecking, just spinning out. Well, there's 6 to go left in the stage. So I need to limp it around. And I tried to limp it, and I found that I really got 2 more laps out of the car, and then it blew. So that's where I think I was very fortunate to understand, okay, that's my gaslight.
But that doesn't sound...
that's in the car that, hey, you're getting low on fuel. When I noticed my car, the light switch, I think Kevin Harvick killed it today. I rewatched the race as quick as I could. He killed it in explaining the light switch going off. And it was like you had grip, and then all of a sudden, when your tires hit cords, nothing. You had nothing, and you had to just slow way, way down to not wreck. So if there were blown tires, it's because you ignored the warning of that it was giving you. FYI, I really wasn't saving much that first stage when because I didn't know I had no indication tires were going to wear out until mine actually wore out. I think I was one of the very first to actually drop anchor. Kyle was actually first.
Yeah.
Yes, we were the first ones to totally drop anchor and was like, oh, these tires are going to wear out.
Reddick didn't give you any sort of idea that it might be, because after that first, Byron gets the caution, Reddick stays out, doesn't take any tires, and then he immediately...
That was later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was in between that whole second stage. I think that was second stage. I'm not sure.
No, I don't. No, that was first.
You're right. No, because he got wrecked. He wasn't just limping around. He got shuffled out of the lead and wrecked the next corner. So that was, I'll be honest, that was a bit of a head scratcher when they stayed out, but I never really saw them drop. So we were the first, like Kyle and myself. So immediately I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to run this line up here and save my tires and not push it too hard. But I was still, I could tell, I was still getting after it a little bit, pretty much the whole run. And then 6 laps to go, which was lap 40 on tires, my car just stopped making corners. And I tried to get to the end of the stage, and it blew out, luckily, right when Kyle Busch spun out.
Yep.
So
Kyle caused a caution.
Yeah, we were the first 2 that gave the warning to the field, you better slow down.
Well, you said on Saturday at qualifying you thought someone peed in the Goodyear rubber mixture.
I am more convinced of that now than ever. That I had this, I have this plea to whoever was responsible for the mixture of the Goodyear tires. Don't try to cover it up. Okay, whoever's in charge of Goodyear needs to go and say, okay, we're not firing anyone. We just want to know what happened. Because I believe this could be the biggest teaching moment in the history of NASCAR. whatever they changed in that chemical mixture. So when they're making rubber, they're making it, right? It's a formula of this and that and this and that, and they can put little things in it to make it wear. Now they told me at a Texas tire test, there's something we can put in it that will accelerate tire wear. Somebody knocked over the bottle into the mixture, but you got to get somebody there to admit, or maybe it was just an accident. I don't know, but we need to find out what was different from that tire in the fall to that tire today. So we didn't run any of the last year's tires, right? Those tires were used up and gone. They made a new batch. Goodyear made a new batch of tires at the beginning of this year for this Bristol race. But when they made this mixture, someone peed in it, and it.
Are you? Is that a euphemism for something, or are you?
They put something in there that they were not supposed to, or they put too much of something in this mixture that screwed it all up.
Okay.
Were you confused the whole weekend when I said someone peed in it?
I just thought it was something random that you were saying. Like, yeah, that's funny, I guess.
No, no, I'm just saying we were trying to point fingers at it's the resin, it's this, is that, and it's like, no, there's something with the mixture of this rubber that is not the same as what they brought before. And we need to identify what it is, because we just need to put a slightly lower dose.
Right. To me, it seemed like a happy accident after all.
A happy accident. My only beef is coming from my friends saying, there's no freaking alcohol in the infield. It's like, you're going to lock us in here, but not feed us what we want. We want alcohol.
But can't they come prepared?
You can't bring it in.
Oh, you can't? Mm-mm. No, you got to fix that then. I won't never go to the infield then.
I kept telling my friends, don't get trapped in the infield, especially if you're thirsty. Don't do it. So, yeah, we got to work on that. There's a concession stand too, isn't there, or is there not? It's just a media center, isn't it?
I think so. That's one thing that I think will change in due time, is that there will be a bridge put up or something to get from the inside of the track to the outside track. I'd have to imagine. It can't stay this way forever, I don't think.
I mean, if they had, yeah, you would hope. I mean, you don't want them digging an underground tunnel, because I think that you're going to end up tearing up the racetrack, causing a huge swell in the track if you do that. But yeah, we should do something to be able to get in and out of.
Or maybe you don't.
Or maybe you don't.
Maybe you don't, because when a driver gets wrecked on lap 2, he has to stay in the infield and watch
All right.
the rest of the race.
Well, I think that's a perfect segue for us. Everyone, this is what you've been waiting for.
We made him earn it.
Buried the lead.
We did. So, I mean, when I look at this, I think this was started, and I didn't realize that, when I went back and looked, we have a group text, and it's me and Austin, and it's got JP and Jared, my buddy Greg, and it's got Ricky and Kyle Larson on it. And he was letting us know while the race was going on, he's gonna go after him. So of course I'm in the race, so I don't see it, but there's others that are not in the race, and so he's stuck in the infield on his phone, and he's fuming. And
well, he went to Kyle's pit box and told his crew chief, I'm going to see Kyle afterwards. Like, he let everybody know, apparently.
Yeah, and you heard Kyle's radio after as soon as they threw the checker, said, hey, you're probably going to have a visitor in here when you get in, just FYI. So, yeah, I mean, I think this is difficult. This is one of those difficult positions that I find myself in, because I try not to pick sides, but I'll call it how I see it. let's go back to the on-track stuff. Okay. I see both sides. However, my driving style supports a little more of Kyle's side because I believe that there are times where Ricky finds himself in these situations because he puts himself in these situations. It is lap 1. Did he shove through the middle of us? Yes. Did I have a problem with it? I did not. It is the All-Star race. We just talked about it earlier, that drivers, you kind of understand that there's a little bit more aggressiveness going on in this type of race. But I see Kyle's side of it. It's like, dude, you shoved middle on a short track on lap 1. Like, where are you going? I see that part. I understand. However, the counter to that is that I see Ricky's side saying, dude, I never touched you until you hit the wall. Now, I think contact was inevitable because there wasn't enough room for Kyle no matter what. Ricky did put him in a position where Kyle was going to have to lift. And if he did not lift, the contact was going to happen. Kyle didn't lift, or he tried to lift, but it was too late. The 47 was already coming up. I knew we were 3 wide. I left plenty of room on the bottom. I am no part of this drama whatsoever. I got no part in it. So because my spotter tells me I'm going through 1 and 2, he's like, 47, shove in middle. And I'm like, okay, well, somebody's not going to leave enough room, and it ain't going to be me. I'm going to leave enough room. So I go down the straightaway pretty low. Those two are up high. They run in, they make contact. The contact was inevitable because there was not enough room left for Kyle on the high side of the racetrack. So, was the contact so egregious that it warranted him like destroying the 47? No, I don't believe so. I certainly don't believe it was, I think that that kind of contact was warranted if the 47 car ran into the back of the 47, the 47 car ran in the back of Kyle and spun him out earlier in the race. And when the 8 comes back around, and this is later in the race, the 8, sure, spin him out. An eye for an eye. I just think it was a little bit overboard considering, all the variables that had happened. But I do think there's a little bit of pent-up frustration on Kyle's part. I think Ricky is probably right that he's frustrated, that he's not got the consistency. And I'm not speaking for Kyle. I'm using the information that we have at hand, and that is that Kyle has publicly said, we're just not consistent. We don't do this week after week. We're terrible some weeks.
I mean, he said last night, we suck.
I was getting there.
By the way, there's very few drivers more qualified to offer an opinion on this type of racing incident than you.
Thanks, Jared. I appreciate that. It's just an opinion. It's just an opinion, folks. And you can take it. You can have your opinion as well. But my opinion is as someone that knows both of these people personally, have raced with them for Kyle for all of my career, 20 years, and Ricky for, the last 10. It was just a clashing of styles. I think that Ricky typically, and when I said he finds himself in these positions, he is the first to push it right on lap 1. And, you just aren't going to, I just don't know that you're going to win the race or even guarantee yourself a top 10 or 15 finish by shoving it in places that are a low or high risk situations.
But it's at the start where you can gain positions. What's the difference between lap 1 and lap 20? Are you not supposed to race?
The difference in lap 20 is people are more predictable. They know what their car has. On lap 1, we are literally going through the first corner, feeling out the grip. understanding, is our car loose? Is it tight? By lap 20, we have enough repetitions where I can leave you less room in the middle, and I have faith that we're all going to hold our line. On lap 1, I do not have faith that we're all going to hold our line because we are all juking and jiving, trying to figure out what kind of grip the track and the tire has.
But
That seems like the best opportunity to pass.
he may not get enough. He may be able to pass you on
Okay.
lap 20.
I love that you guys are refuting this. You have valid points, but I'm telling you, it is going to lead to wrecks more than it's going to lead to success. That's my opinion, is that you've got 200 laps, and if your car is really good, really that good, because we started right next to each other, we drove up to the top 2. I had a really good car. But if you think that is your only shot to get a couple of spots, because you know that we're probably not going to be competitive, so I at least got to just look good on these restarts. I don't know.
Well, that's the different mindset of a team that's winning 3-4 times a
you're
year,
correct.
and a team that
If Ricky was driving my car, he probably would be more patient. There's so many elements to this and how it actually broke down. But then, Ricky's pissed because he has a valid point. I never hit you until you hit the wall, and then we make contact. Ricky's right. He is 100% right. So then, before his face-to-face with Kyle, he put himself in a box. He put himself in a box on TV by saying he was going to do something. And Ricky is one of those stand-up humans that when he tells you he's going to do something, he's probably going to do it.
I mean, he said, Richard can hold my watch.
So at that point, short of Kyle, when they first meet face-to-face saying, "Oh my God, Ricky, I'm so sorry. I screwed up. You are so right." That was the only way he was not going to get
You got to take the Tyler Reddick method.
It was the only way, because I thought that Kyle didn't really justify anything, but he was like, right before the punch, you heard him saying, well, because Ricky says, "Go look at it. I never touched you." He's like, well, if that happened, boom. Like, he was just about to make the turn into the relationship where he was like, okay, you're right. I apologize. I'll look at it. If that's what happens, sorry. He just never got the chance to say it because Ricky saw the opportunity to throw this punch starting to dwindle. And he says, well, I said it. I guess I got to do it. So I just think that he's a man of his word, and he told us he was going to do it. That's why all the cameras were following Kyle. They knew that Ricky was camped out at the 8-hauler, and we had. I mean, I loved on the teardown them doing this, the role playing, where you got Jordan playing one character and Jeff playing the other, and they kind of go through the conversations and the words that were said. And so I thought that Kyle handled it really, really well. And he was about to say words that were going to defuse the situation. You
gotta be quicker than that. You gotta be quicker than that.
But you gotta be quicker in your apologies, apparently. So that's where it all broke down.
Can we ban fireworks post-race?
Oh gosh.
I can't
hear them.
I couldn't figure out whether that added or took away from the fight because they were so prominent there in the background during all the video.
Yeah.
Do you think it added or took away from it?
It took away.
It took away.
Because you couldn't hear him as clear.
Yeah.
We also,
But I thought there was enough cameras there that you heard every word that was said.
after you put all the cameras together. I think
Yeah.
Also, I get you're doing your job, but we need that security guy out of there. We can't have him breaking up fights so fast. He's ruining it every time.
Hey, that guy ended up having 175-pound Ricky or 80-pound. I don't know what he is now. He's been getting swole. He had him land on top of him, so
And poor Davey Siegel had Kyle Busch on top of him.
I know. It was that's what you get, guys. You come into the fire, you're gonna get burnt.
Can we talk about this incredible screenshot from this video? Though?
It is. I tried to tell Jordan on the ride home because we're listening to the teardown, and they got to get the teardown. Like, come on, man, y'all got to get this thing out within an hour and a half of the end of the race. Like, we got to get snappy with this stuff.
Says the guy who records on 10 a.m. Monday morning.
Well, I mean, these guys ain't running around North Wilkesboro. I mean, they're sitting in their, God knows where Jeff Gluck is. Oh, he's at his in-laws' house for the next 10 days.
I saw Jeff.
He ain't
in
doing.
Indy.
Yeah, but you got the
he ain't
winners
doing
press. You got the winners press conference that you have to deal with.
Oh,
And you guys talk forever.
No one. No, I hate to say it, no one gives a about Joey Logano winning the All-Star race. That's a fact. And I hate that. Like, our media was like, oh my gosh, they're only showing, Barstool or ESPN. They're only showing the fight. Not like, well, yeah, we got to understand who we are.
I tweeted this was great. Like right before they went to get up on SportsCenter, they ended the show with the fight. Like this is the greatest thing that could happen to NASCAR yesterday.
Yeah, with all due respect to the 22, no one gives a It's just that's just a fact. And if it was the 11, no one would give a either. It's just this was the story out of it. Thank God, because this podcast would have been over with 20 minutes ago.
What do you make of Ricky's punch?
Connected. I mean, there's nothing else. There's nothing else you can really say. I always think about, if I'm going to be the first to punch, what am I going to do? Just as a heads up, I'm probably going to go I'm going to do a left gut punch first.
You can't go with the body shot.
Oh, yeah, because it gets them down.
Though.
It gets their head down, and that's when you come right underneath.
Well, but the thing is, though, I don't know if you'll be able to get the second punch in. We got to make sure security guys.
I'll be like a rabbit. You see Mike Tyson with the bags? That's me.
No shot.
I'd be like one of those fighting guys on the game.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Yeah.
No shot.
No?
No, I'm
a fighter.
No, you are not.
How can you possibly say that?
I've followed you into at least a half a dozen confrontations in the last 5 years, and not one of them.
Well, Joey gave me a hard tap to my shoulder, and I went after him.
That was good.
But nobody else. There was no other.
Chase Briscoe took a win away from you?
I know, but that didn't warrant him getting punched in the face. Like, there's...
Jared, here it is. Put a poll up on Denny's account. Is Denny a fighter, yes or no?
Look at the highlights. I'm in all kinds of scuffles, but it's not... It's been... Like the Chase Briscoe thing. Like, he didn't say anything that sent me off the deep end. Like, if I were to say, hey, you wrecked me, and someone said, yeah, what are you going to do about it? They're going to get it.
Yeah, but Ricky
So you're
was
looking for an additional spark.
But I'm a normal level-headed human being that is, as long as you hear me out and you hear my side of things, I then listen to your side of things.
Speak of the devil.
Why didn't you
Travis.
punch Chase
Speak
last
of the
year?
devil, Travis. Speak of the devil. Let's
What?
talk about Denny's altercations. We can just
Look
the
around, people.
Denny, why didn't you punch Chase last year when he wrecked you?
When? I was in the ER. What?
You got cleared.
Yeah, but that...
There's also a board over there with actions detrimental. I mean, the examples are all over. I'd say it's like 1 out of 10.
So this one, I'm looking at the 2017. I crashed him. Certainly, I'm not going to crash him and punch
For the
him.
podcast people, he's talking about Chase.
Yeah. I'm not going to crash them and punch them. And usually, you know, like there's not been that many face-to-face here too much lately because for a while the crew members were getting involved. It was getting a little messy. Danica, we have a woman over here. I mean,
and you're friends.
We're friends.
The friend's the least.
Denny, you're my friend. I realize that. There's just nothing good that was going to come out of that situation for sure. So I needed to just take my tongue lashing and move on.
When's the last time you threw a punch?
I mean, last time I threw a punch was Joey at Martinsville. It didn't land because I had his crew guy come and snooker me from behind and grab my collar. Like, such a cheap move. I think he got suspended for a couple weeks or something like that. But yeah, that was the last punch I can remember being thrown. But again, I think it was all, as long as you're level-headed and we have a conversation, I think that then we can have a conversation. So, okay, prime example, the Ross thing. Remember when I maybe or maybe did not squish him in the wall there at Phoenix? He came up to me and we had just a conversation. And it started with, well, I probably deserved that, didn't I? And I said, yeah. And then we listened to each other's sides, right? At no point was it contentious where it was like, you're a f***ing prick and you're going to get it. Mark it. Like, you know what I mean? So I just think every situation is different. But I'm definitely a fighter if you put me in a corner. No doubt.
It takes two to tango. And
yeah, you're going to have two tango. And we had, this was a perfect two to tango moment, right? Between the two.
And then you had one of Kyle Busch's crew members just getting everybody off the hauler. Get out of here.
Yeah, he used his physical abilities and his body weight to his advantage.
You had a lot of old people in that fight.
Yeah, he was tossing smaller, older people off for sure. But, you know, hey, it's kind of a rule of thumb. I do agree. When you come to our stall or our hauler, that's our space. Now, you know, that's very convenient that you want to throw them all off. You know, now you didn't want, when they were talking, you had no problem with them being there. But yeah, I think it ended as good or as bad as you would expect. I mean, it's the first man that gets the punch in is always the winner because they break it up before that.
Swing first.
Oh, I did something. Did you hear what I said after the race? What I did for the first time in my whole career, 19 years. Peed in my seat.
Oh, I was about to say that.
Yeah. I was hurting. I was so thirsty the second half of the race, but I couldn't drink anymore because my body, I'm sitting there in the seat and I'm like, please just let it go. Let it go. And I just couldn't let it go. And I just have never been able to go in the car. There's something about it. It's because I'm not holding it or I'm not standing up. Something just doesn't feel right to my body and it just hangs on. But so I'm sitting there during the red flag and I get on the radio and I say to the spotter, says, what's the holdup? Why are we red flagged? He's like, oh, we got a problem over here. They're cleaning up a mess. I said, all right. So I'm looking at my clock. I actually have a clock on my dash as well. I don't know if anyone else runs a clock, but I just like to kind of know for reference for time. And if the track changes, you know, make mental notes of it. But I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, see, there's 20 laps to go. How many more yellows is there going to be? I just don't think I'm going to make it. I just don't think and my stomach is killing me. Like, I ain't got to go number 2. I got to go number 1. But my bladder is just dying. And so they finally, I get to pit road and they're working on the damage. And I just close my eyes and I'm like, just trying to think of something that will make me go.
This is that painful of a thing for you to do, huh?
Yes. And then as soon as I got the first dribble, boom.
There's
out.
no stopping
It's
after that.
no way. It was warm and then it was cold. It was. I never felt what it felt like to pee in my seat, but I kind of liked it. I did. Is that weird? Is it weird?
Well, I've never peed in
know.
a car before, so
I
can't.
know. I don't want to sound. I don't want to sound weird, but I kind of liked it
Because the relief from like the pain or just having.
Let me ask you this: have you ever?
I didn't like the feeling, but it was warm, and then it was cold.
Have you ever peed in the ocean or like the lake before out here?
Of course.
Is it similar?
No.
Oh, because that feels good.
Because you're not sitting in it. Like, because it goes from me to the next layer to the next layer. So unfortunately, I'm telling my I'm telling Philpott, the interior specialist on the number 11, said, "Hey man, I left you something special in there tonight."
So you won't be wearing that fire suit again?
No, the fire suit's fine. Underwear, fire suit, it's soiled, but it's fine. I'm more concerned with, and I know many drivers do this on a regular basis, and I never understood how they could do it because I've tried, and my body says, no, there's no way I'm releasing right now. Evidently, Carl Edwards used to do it every week. I think Tyler Reddick does it every week. But I was super paranoid when I got out. I'm like, is it going to smell the pee in the seat? Like, I just had to tell him, right? I can't just let him find out and be like, dude, what the hell? I'm like, hey, just so you know. So I don't know, do they wash it or they just let that stuff marinate in there? I wonder if like this because it goes into the seat. The seat is, this soft fabric. It's a foam.
It's going in your car next week.
I know. So does it just sit in there?
I mean, we'll have to follow up. You'll figure it out.
I wonder if they do it. Do they just Febreze it?
You will literally find out.
Okay. These are the answers
Sunday.
we need you to figure out for us. Also, was your fire suit, were you worried about like a pee stain when you got out and people would know?
I gave myself a pat check, front and back, just kind of looked down and said, I'm good. Not really too concerned. It's dark out. It's not going to be too bad. But so that was the most historical moment I had of the entire day, is finally letting one go. So that was my highlight. All right, I got to just get it out of the way. God. I feel a little better now, but it's just bottled up inside, Jared. It's just, gosh, just eating away at my soul.
How do you not get out of the car and do that? How do you not get out of the car and just like let it go?
Because I feel like as time has gone on in my career, I've learned to just take a breath. Like, it's easy to react, right? Reacting is the easiest thing to do. But try to take everything into account first and then react. You're not always going to get it right. I tried my best in my interview to see all sides of it, right? Let me think about my side. What did I see? How did I feel about it? If I were the 3 car, how would I have felt about it? What did I see? What was my motivation? Things like, I try to put all different perspectives into my thought process and then react, right? That's why we're here today, is to kind of expand upon that a little bit. I have additional thoughts, about it. But man, it's just I never found it to be super productive to just react and think about it from your own perspective. You should be very selfish for you and your team and how it affects you. But I think through our conversation today, we're going to try to put ourselves a little bit in other people's shoes and draw what our opinion might be from it. I think that's the best way to possibly do this, right? I'm sure we will have a large audience tuning in to hear where we go with this. So I guess we probably should just jump in it, Trav, right?
Let's not keep them waiting.
Okay. All right.
I appreciate you not going anger on your interviews, though, and I wanted that.
Saving it?
Yeah, I wanted it here, so thank you for saving that.
You should thank Tyler Overstreet for that. He said, say what you want to say, but save most of it for tomorrow.
Yeah, so thank you.
So Tyler's listening in right there on the Zoom. Those of you who don't know, I do somewhat have bumper guards each episode. I mean, we might take out
we edit very little, to be honest.
Less than 1%.
I mean, if we edited 1%, you probably wouldn't have lost $50,000 last year.
That's true. I don't know. I mean, what do y'all want to know?
Let's start with the restart. You're coming in third. Let's start there. What's going through your mind? Like, let's go there.
Thought it was too much of a gap to make a legitimate racing move. But when I saw the 3 not decelerate, he just kept going. He obviously was not going to make the corner in a reasonable fashion. I thought my eyes got really big because I knew that he carried so much speed in, regardless of whether he made contact with the 22 or not. He was going to have such a bad run off. I had a legit shot to get around him. So my eyes got big. And then when I saw actually that he was going to get to the 22, which was, I mean, we're talking split seconds here. This is really, really quick. And I start to see the 22 turn sideways. I'm like, oh, this is it. Finally, I'm going to get one like the other way. I'm going to get one I probably didn't deserve. But yeah, the track clears and I come off the corner just the same as I always have, because I think the 3 is up in the smoke up there. And next thing you know, I mean, my car turns dead right into the fence and just crushes me, crushes the car. And I see these, I see the checkered, and we're not the first to get there. So it was crazy set of events. Like your emotions peak, it's like, we're not going to win. Oh my God, we are. No, we're not. Like that quick. Right. And so that was what was crazy from my standpoint, and kind of the emotions I had over a 3-second span.
What does the SMT data show? Because people who watch this replay will say, "Whoa, the 11 car came up the track, and that's why he ended up in the wall." Is the 3 car? You came across 3 cars' nose. What does the SMT data show?
Well, that's not true. The 3 car turned 70 degrees to the left. Like a normal corner is when you turn the wheel to about 30 to 35 degrees. So double the amount. So whatever you make to make a corner, let's just say that's 35 degrees of steering wheel angle. He doubled it to after he got the 22. And so, yeah, the natural movement is to go from the bottom of the racetrack. You don't just follow the yellow line down the straightaway.
Right.
So you come off the corner, you then drive up to the wall. I was making a normal corner exit, and you can see it. Usually you can see these things by the cars that are behind. And when Austin starts the people that were coming off the corner behind me, the 45 and someone else, you can then see him cross into our lane to get us in the right rear.
What were you thinking in the moment?
Yeah,
what's your initial reaction?
My initial reaction is that he must have ricocheted off the 22 into me. Like I had no idea it was just like a deliberate, I'm going left, oh, you're going to win. No, you're not. Like, I didn't know it was that until I watched it, because I can't see it because all I see is literally the checkered flag straight ahead, clear racetrack. And when you get right reared, trust me, I have enough experience at this now, you never really see it coming.
So now that you have seen it and heard everyone talk about it, what is your reaction to the situation?
This is not there's an ethics problem here. Like this is this if you think stuff like that is okay, this is hurting the sport long term. And that's, in my opinion, the turn that our sport has taken over the last decade. And I, Mike Ford, I'm leaving the NASCAR hauler and he's like, Denny, your comments. I'm like, what? He says, about, our sport's not going to get taken seriously if we don't. I'm like, I stand by that. Like, at some point, you are the sanctioning body. You are the big boys in the room. You have to make tough calls sometime. Let me ask a question. If this is not over the line, and I think Jeff said, what is over the line?
But where is the line? You have to figure out where is the line first. Like, is what the 3 did to the 22 over the line? If he
Yes. He did not try to make a corner. He just drove until he wrecked him.
Right. So
he kept going until he wrecked him.
But how do you, how do you define that going forward? How do you, like, to me, that just seems like such a gray area.
Let me read this. Okay. It's a gray area. Well, I have the rules right here.
Okay.
Right? General scope of penalties, the NASCAR deterrent system. Okay? NASCAR may issue penalties as it deems fit to provide for the orderly conduct of the sport. Orderly conduct of the sport. Such determinations may be made by NASCAR before, during, or after an event and may consider, and this is highlighted, to the extent deemed reasonable by NASCAR in the interest of racing competition and fairness, any modifications caused or required as a result of damage caused by in-race incidences. This is a subject it's called a deterrent system. It is to keep us within parameters of not getting out of control on the racetrack. And if this is okay, if NASCAR is saying right now, hold on, they said yesterday, they didn't say it, but I'm saying if they didn't rule on it yesterday, if they don't rule on it today, they don't rule on it tomorrow, tell me then what is unacceptable? Just crashing someone under caution? Are you saying that you can do whatever you want on the racetrack and it will be no penalty whatsoever? Like that, how can you ever take us seriously? And as a car owner, I spend tens of millions of dollars to make sure our cars are fast. My drivers have an equal opportunity to go out and race. However, if you're telling me that anyone can go out there and just wipe us out intentionally, that's not the sport I invested in. So I have a problem with that.
Were you excited, eager, just curious to how the fans were going to treat you when you got out of the car?
It was really good to start. I felt like there was a lot of cheers on the initial. Travis is nodding his head. Like the initial ovation was cheers. And I was like, heck yeah. All right. We're making some
New 2024.
Hey, it's a new year. And then as I started talking, it got started.
Oh, here it goes. Yeah, of course.
It
as
started.
soon as you open your mouth. Yeah.
Right. I know. It's understandable. It got a little worse. And I didn't say anything to incite them. I was just talking about the race or something like that, or just thankful to my team or sponsors or something like that. And then I think it just happens to where it just takes a little group to boo kind of loudly. And then the others like, hell yeah, we're getting in on that too. And then it just builds, right? So it's either that or I'm like, was there a fight on the screen that I didn't see? Was what are they doing? And I'm like, wait a minute, they had a change of heart. In 20 seconds, they had a change of heart on me. And so, I gave them the, all beat your favorite drivers again and whatnot, which, breaking news, I always say that at least once in every podcast. I'm going to have to retire it. I'm going to retire the I beat all your favorite drivers because I got a text, and those of you who saw the Netflix special with my dad, he sent me a text. He says, son, you got to stop that. He said, son, you got to stop that. I don't like it. It's just too cocky, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to listen to dad on this one. So we're going to retire it. That's the last time. I think, jokes are always funnier the first time you say it, not the second or third or whatever anyway. So we'll come up with something new next time around. But I beat your favorite driver, all of them, is officially going to go down in the history books. It's done.
When did you know that you were going to, because you pulled Jamie. When did did it just click?
I was fine. I thought it was me and the fans. We were tight. There was cheers and I was feeling them, the vibes and everything. And then all of a sudden she starts wrapping it up, the interview. And then I just hear this. It was like a tsunami of boos. Like it started just coming and it just kept getting louder. And I'm like, might need to remind these folks one more time.
I got one Dear Denny for you this week. Do Cup teams usually have unused sets of tires left at the end of a weekend? And if so, should NASCAR reduce the tire allotment? The limited sets in trucks and Xfinity are a major storyline most weeks, yet this doesn't seem talked about as much in Cup.
Should they limit the amount of tires? I would say no, because I don't know that you want it to be that be the differentiator. I'm more of a fan of actually having different compounds, and letting the teams figure out when they want to run them. Listen, we got to get one good compound first before we start diving into multiple. But interesting fact, and I had to phone a friend on this one. Give credit to Chris Gabehart on it. I didn't, as a team owner, we always kind of look at costs and everything. And so he gave me a staggering fact that I did not know. So when you say we go to Texas this weekend, they give us 8 sets of tires. If we use 6, we don't get a rebate on those 2. Now, I knew all this, but I'll get to the staggering fact. So we do not get reimbursed for those tires. You can use them if we take that tire to another track. So, for instance, the Texas tire is the same as the Kansas tire. So we could, if we have a leftover set, $2,400 a piece or whatever they might be, we can't just turn them back into Goodyear and get a refund. They tell us, you're buying these sets of tires and they're yours now, and you can do whatever you want with them. So at the end of the day, what we do is we have an extra set. We will put them back at Champion, and they will they'll put them in inventory. And so if we go to Kansas, let's say we go to Kansas next weekend, or we likely would tap into that extra set and say, okay, we're going to practice on those tires. But if Kansas is 3-4 months down the road, we're not going to want old date coats. So we're not going to want older tires, because they age. Rubber ages and it changes compounds, and it's funny when you get older tires. It's just that can really mess up a car. So it just goes to waste. And sometimes you can work with some back marker cars and sell them to them to try to reimburse some of your costs back. But Jared, do you know how much JGR had in extra tire inventory in the first year of next gen 2022? How much money worth of tires was spent and never ran?
Do you want me to make an educated guess? Because I know the answer.
I know. You're supposed to act like you don't know the answer.
Oh, I don't know. $100,000?
No, you were wrong. Nearly $1 million. Nearly $1 million worth of tires that JGR, the team, spent on tires that it never ran. That is incredible.
So $250,000 per car.
Yes, sir. So we keep talking about cutting costs. How about we just get a refund for the tires we don't use? Like, can they go back in the recycling bin, Goodyear? Please take them back. It's just wasted money. And holy, I didn't realize the number was that high. But man, we got something new we need to start advocating for, and that is allowing us to return our tires we don't use. Put them back in the mixer at Goodyear and remake the tire for later down the road or something. But holy shit, as much money as we spent on tires, $1 million worth of unused tires. Holy crap. Talking about helping the race teams. Help us there. Because that is a waste.
I think you were stunned when he said it because you had him repeat it, right? You couldn't believe that number.
I couldn't believe it. But he says in 2022, first year of next gen, that was how much they had in unused inventory in 1 year. So that's pretty crazy. So yeah, it's on you. When you buy them, they don't care whether you use them or not. They've got the purchase, and you have to figure out how to either use them yourself in a future race or race weekend, which never happens because you don't. If it's 2 or 3 months down the road before we use that compound again, we're not going to use them. They're just too old. They're going to be slower. Or you have to sell them to a team in the back that really doesn't care about speed that much.
Right. But you're kind of forced to buy these. You can't just...
you have to buy
someone's going to
them.
listen to this podcast and be like, well, how about you just buy less tires?
Well, okay, within 20 laps to go, we need a pit for tires and we don't have any.
Right.
Like, that's just... yeah, that's not an option, folks. Sorry. Everyone buys the maximum set.
Now, why
Sets allowed.
don't they... So I was under the impression, actually, that Goodyear brought all the tires to the track every weekend, which is why those Goodyear trucks are there filled with tires. They bring the tires to the track every weekend, and then they distribute the tires to the team. So if on the Texas weekend, each team gets 9 sets of tires, they distribute those 9 sets of tires to the team, and then they charge them for whatever the cost is of those 9 sets.
2,400%. Yep.
And then if all the teams only use 8 sets, then they would just take back those set of tires and...
That seems logical, Jared, but that's
money.
It's a great business strategy for Goodyear.
no doubt.
You buy it, but you didn't use it.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about that's for one team, $250,000. Now, not every team has that much unused inventory, but let's just say it's $200,000 times 36 teams. Is that $5 million in
We haven't
wasted money?
We haven't had a guest on this year, and Travis has asked a couple times in the chat in our group text, who Denny would like to have on. I think we need to have a Goodyear representative on. These are just general questions I'm curious of. Like, why don't they sell these tires to the teams?
Because they can make money, Jared.
I mean, I get it, but again, it just seems
Everyone's trying to make money. I don't know. It doesn't seem fair.
We're progressing the sport forward if everyone's trying to one up each other. I don't know.
No, I mean, it's a point for sure. I mean, we keep cutting this, cutting that, but that is wasteful money for sure. And it seems like there should be a better solution than just saying you didn't use it and you're stuck with those tires. Sorry, you figure out how to get rid of them.
How much would that $250,000 per car make a difference at the end of the year on your team's budget?
We'd have $250,000 more that we wouldn't lose. So I'd save 125 grand of my own money. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, every little bit helps. I mean,
Could be spent on bonuses for employees, improvements in the shop, all sorts of.
lots of things. I mean,
How would you
lodging.
invest it in the sport?
that's what they want to know. We all are racing as hard as we can to win, just because the wins mean a lot to us personally, right? And if you can get the benefit of making it to the next round or things like that, that's just an added bonus, right? I'm after wins, and my disappointment was from not winning the race, and the whole championship thing. That is just a sidebar and a side effect of not winning.
But I've seen you not win races before.
Yeah, but not after leading with 2 to go. Like, I'm in control of the race. Like, you got to finish it at that point. And, I spending, a little bit of today just kind of looking through what I need to look through, and I haven't yet, of like, what could I have done different? The one corner I see that I let the 12 get beside me, not let, but he did, is he just cut the bottom of 1 and 2 better than I could. And I ended up sliding up the racetrack, trying to keep my momentum. And that between the distance and him being able, he was extremely good on the bottom all day long. So you got to give them credit. That was the key moment, is not coming off and not clearing him off of turn 2 was just, that was it for us.
Is that the additional perspective you gain now that you're 16 hours removed from this race versus right out of the car?
Yeah, I try to think, and I did watch back the last restart and everything in the last 8 laps to kind of see, where did I give up time here and position. And again, I didn't go through it on SMT quite yet, but I'm just looking at it on TV, and it's like, yeah, I just didn't run the bottom as good as what the 12 could. He just was better than me running the bottom. He could, when he got to the bottom and he hit the gas, the thing kept going left. And it's like, I just couldn't hold it down there. And if I did, I was going to have to slow up down too much. And then I'd risk letting him get beside me in the middle of the corner. And so, I don't know. There's surely something that I could have done different. Certainly, being a good defender is I'm not super high on that list, so need to get better there. So I don't know. It's just you're full of what ifs today.
When you say you couldn't run the bottom as well as the 12, are you referring to driver skill? Blaney's just better at that line than me. The car at the time, Blaney can make more grip down there than I can. Like, what plays into that?
Yeah, a lot of it plays into, you try to run the fastest line that you can for what you have for a race car. And, I had not been able to really get down there, especially in turn 1 and 2, all the way on the bottom as much as what the 12 and even 45 had done on previous restarts. If I tried to go down there, it just would be so tight. I just would plow off the corner, and then it would, I'd lose a lot of momentum. So I tried to keep my car wound up as much as I could, which is, keeping my middle speed up high, keeping, low brake, and just keep the min speed rolling as quick as I can. But what that puts you at risk on the short run is then getting slid by someone who comes in low. And so I was really vulnerable throughout the day on restarts by cars that were making time on the bottom, and I just was not able to make it. I tried it in 3 and 4 quite a few times, and when I did, I come off the corner, wheel cut to the left, and just checking up on exit, and then you get swarmed by 3 cars pretty quickly. I think that the move for him was making the same move that the 12 made on me the previous lap in 1 and 2. The 12 ran the line, and that's how he got beside me coming to 2 on 2 to go. Well, with 1 to go, I'm right behind the 12. We go into 1. The 12 wants to hedge to lower to keep me from going in there and sliding him, or at least getting to his bumper. So at that point, I know the 12 is going to go low. So I try to make all the speed I can on the top. Not very well. I get to the center. I try to crank the wheel, and it's just not working. But then the 45s hooks the line. And when he hooks the line, he did exactly what the 12 did the lap before, and made huge ground and huge speed, cleared me, and actually gained on the 12. And so I think at that point, I think he was as amazed as any of us that the 12 gave him the very top line, and he just shipped it in there, and it stuck.
Why does it look like when Reddick enters 3 and you're behind him that he takes off and you hit the brakes? Why?
Yeah. So at that point, I'm running third, right? I see them fan out. So I see that the 12 is going to be one lane off. I know the 45 is going to the top. At that point, I'm starting to enter the corner. Now, Homestead is a track where you don't have a lot of grip in the racetrack. It is low grip. So I slow down my entry because I'm like, these guys are going to get together and I need to be able to turn left to avoid it. So I slowed down to keep an ability for me to maneuver when these two get together, because I was very surprised they didn't come off the corner side by side door banging. But the 45 just had so much speed, he ripped the door numbers off the 12.
So could the 12 have just slid up and took away that line last minute?
He could, but he was racing unfair, right? The 45 didn't do anything to, garnish getting shoved in the fence. But I mean, hey, we're all going for the win, and you never know what can happen. And I think the 12 raced him as absolute fair as he could, and certainly it's almost the 45 got there so quickly it would have been too late to try to shut that off. So I think the 12 was just content on, let me try to run the best speed I can in the lane that I've chosen.
Here's our special guest.
For those listening, Denny didn't bring home a trophy this week.
I did not.
But he did bring home a puppy.
Yeah, this is well, we named it Lulu. I didn't realize too that was my mom's nickname when she was growing up, was Lulu. And my mom had a shirt on. She came over last night when we landed to check the puppy out, and she had a shirt on, said the Lulus.
The Lulu.
So she was, I guess we just found out, she doesn't have a chip in her. She's 6 to 7 weeks, so she is.
According to the vet.
So she is very, very young. But they found her. The park rangers found her by the river.
Yeah. Can we rewind here to Saturday afternoon?
All
And
right,
just
so
how this.
Saturday
All right,
afternoon.
Taylor loves telling this story. If you haven't, I don't know if you realize
Okay,
this, Denny.
so basically what happened was, you can find it on my mom's story too, but basically what happened was we got off, we went to the arch, right? And we were going in the arch. It was like 6 or 7 or something like that.
You ever heard Austin Payton tell a story? It's going to be very similar.
So basically, then we're on the arch, and there's this movie that you can watch. No one was in line, which is really sad because it was a great movie, actually. And it was like telling you how they built the arch, right? And so Dad's like, I want to go home, I'm tired. And I'm like, well, he has the race or whatever. So I was like.
So I Ubered back to the track.
And he had
I got dropped off right outside the Lulu concert, by the way, and had to walk all the way around the racetrack to get back in. Oh, and it was raining. It was not good.
And basically, then Mom's like, I don't want for something. Dad was like, why do you want to stay? It's like, it was 35 minutes.
Land the plane.
It was like no reason. So basically, Mom was like, I don't know why. I just want to stay. So then after the movie is over, we're like, yay, that was a pretty good movie. So we come out, we take a picture at the very middle of the arch, and there's this park ranger, like so pretty, like she's such a pretty like ranger. And my mom's like, she's so sweet. And there's this dog walking, a puppy, she's scared. Okay, so basically there's this dog, well, the puppy, and she's letting like them play in her play in the grass. Sorry, I stuttered a lot. So then we take the picture, and I'm like, our babysitter says, hey, do you want to like play with, what if we could pet her? And Megan was like, I don't think so. I was like, can we pet her? And she was like, Megan was like, I don't think so. She's probably in training. And so basically she goes, I'm getting to it. So basically, and the ranger hears us and she says, "Oh no, you can hold her. Like, she's so sweet." And I was like, "Actually?" She's like, "Yeah, she's not mine." And I'm like, "Actually?" And she was like, "Yeah." And so I was so excited. I got to hold her. And they were like, she was like, "Yeah, I was going to take her to the pound." And she did not want to take her to the pound. You could tell. But it was part of her job too. So, because she was literally just a stray. She had no collar, no nothing. So we were like, okay. And so she was like, wait. She was like, "Can we kind of keep her?" And she was like, "Yeah, do you guys want to keep her?" And I was like, "Sure." And so we called my dad, and he was like, "I don't care."
So you volunteered to take her from the ranger then? She didn't just hand them to y'all.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Today.
So anyway, there's this young puppy here, and we got to figure out what to do with it.
I mean, keep it. It's the answer.
No, we already have it. We
No.
Why wouldn't you keep the dog, Denny?
Huh?
Why wouldn't you keep the dog? I mean, look.
Because this is a short-term happiness and a long-term pain in the ass.
It could help teach Taylor responsibility and
They're not going to do it. They don't even pick up after themselves. They're not going to take care of this dog.
I mean, look at this dog.
It's a beautiful.
You want to say goodbye to this cute dog?
I don't. All puppies are cute.
So Mila doesn't need a friend?
Milo loves her, actually.
Milo, they
really
played
loves her.
quite. They played quite well last.
So now gonna lose a friend too.
Oh, you even put on this thing. And how did Milo react to his little sister? Little sister. So you're already agreeing.
I didn't write that.
You're already agreeing that she's in the family.
I didn't write that. All right. Well, let's. So we're gonna figure out what to do. So I don't know. We'll figure something out for sure. But let's go. All right. Thank you. Thanks for show and tell. I know. Bye-bye.
Nevertheless, this was a very unique victory lane. Tyler Reddick wins the race in the Jordan brand car. Michael Jordan is at the race, and then his first trip to victory lane since he's owned the team with you.
Yeah, such a again, my emotions went from wanting to get the hell out of there to, suddenly being happy and excited. I still find myself hard because I'm such a tough competitor, getting away from the emotion of, damn, my day just sucked. Oddly enough, when my cars have won, I usually I had a pretty good day myself. Usually I'm in the top 5 or battling for the win as well. And so it's not a complete loss. But today was like, oh my God, we finished like last. I left there with no points. And then all of a sudden my brain has to shift to, oh, well, I need to be excited now. And so when I was, but I really was once I got to victory lane, right? When you see how exciting all the crew guys were, the team members were, Michael, how excited he was. It's a big deal, man. You can't downplay it in any kind of way. I'm sure they've got, Michael highlights going all over the damn place on social media. Certainly, Jared, you got the great photo op of us, kind of embracing there in victory lane. And so it was his first time that he got to experience that.
Is he no longer bad luck then?
He's no longer bad luck. That's for sure. We had some good fortune today. But yeah, we actually watched on the plane, right? Like when he was behind the pit box, I think the front stretch had a video of it. Like that was, have we seen a team that excited in quite some time? Like it's been a minute, right? Since the team has been that jacked up.
You would have thought
winning.
You would have thought it was like to clinch to race in Phoenix for the championship or something like. They even I forget who said it. Like this felt like a championship celebration.
Yeah, it did, and even in victory lane, like I don't know, maybe at the 11 team we're just take for granted that we win pretty often. So I don't know, the 45 team they were celebrating like crazy, but it's so different. And so I go in there and I'm like, I'm trying to be respectful. This is Tyler's spotlight. Let's let him do his thing, and me and Michael will stand in the back, take a few photos, and then I headed off and did some media stuff as the team owner. But it's just a moment you can't take back. I mean, it's Bo Reddick. I mean, can you imagine? He has no idea, right? Like
Zero. The goat's holding him.
He's just like, he's holding him like the Lion King. Like it's just awesome. He's gonna have that moment forever. And it's just, I'm so happy for Tyler and Alexa and Bo and their whole family, the whole Reddick family, Clarence, his dad. It's it's great. It's great for them and great for that 45 team. They'll certainly celebrate this one for a while. I think they're actually celebrating it right now.
They're certainly getting close to starting if they haven't already. But what is it like for you as someone who, grew up watching Michael Jordan win everything and anything he could possibly win in the NBA, his basketball career? Everyone knows about Michael Jordan and what he's won. But then he comes to the racetrack and he celebrates the way he did after winning just one of 38 races. It's just another race.
Not to him. He's a competitor. And I appreciated what he said to Jamie Little there, that starting this NASCAR team really it filled the void of competitiveness that he had when he was playing, right? And so the only difference is he doesn't control. He doesn't have control. Now, we do have controls over how we choose to run the team and personnel that we hire and things like that. But you are a bit helpless when it comes down to a green-white checkered or 30 laps to go or whatever. And I'm sitting there on the sidelines and I'm quarterbacking like, Tyler, do this, Tyler, do that. And you feel helpless. But like when they do it, you just feel so proud because you've got a hand in all of it. So, certainly a big win for 2311 and that whole team. It was great to see Bubba there celebrating with him as well, congratulating him. It's just there's nothing bad that happens from wins like this.
What does MJ bring to the team that maybe another owner can't bring to their team because of his greatness and being a professional athlete?
Oh, man, I can't quantify it, but he's the most popular athlete in the world. I mean, is there a more popular athlete in the world?
LeBron?
Living? Oh, my God.
I had to say it. I had to.
Oh, my God. Jared. I need a new co-host immediately. Get this guy.
Because, even Bubba said pre-race that MJ said, I forget when this happened, there was some complaining and MJ said, like, it's self-reflection and you can't, this complaining stuff has to stop.
Yes, there was a little of that happening. I think it was end of last year for sure. It was during the playoffs, and Michael likes to be involved. He certainly is advised in a very educated way through his folks, but he likes to be involved and he likes to ask questions and he likes to learn the sport. Now, even in Victory Lane, he was asking questions about, the strategy. Should we have done that? And I'm like, yeah, it was going to work out until it didn't, but actually it did work out. So it's hard to say what he brings other than the affiliation of being with the greatest athlete in the world. He's obviously got some business relationships as well that he brings to the table. One thing I'll definitely love about him is that, any ask, and I try not to ask him to do too much, but, he understands when I do ask him to do something that it's important, and he can turn it on at the right time with the right people. He's always curious when we do have VIP meet and greets. He wants to know their names, who are they with, what's their, affiliation, what's their job. Like he cares. And so to have someone that really cares about the people that invest in him and his race team, it certainly goes a long way.
Yeah, I think Ryan McGee tweeted afterwards, he's seen a lot of people come into the sport and as owners or whatever, and it doesn't work and they quickly get out. And MJ he's been the opposite. He's continuing to grow and wants to be at these races, and he's not just an owner in name only.
Absolutely not. He is not an absentee owner for sure. He cares about this. He is a race fan first. I'm very, very grateful that we struck up the friendship that we did 14 years ago, and what it has grown into. It's just been amazing. I find myself pinching myself at times that not only is things going well on the track for me in my career, but to be also affiliated and have the partners that we have with Toyota and Michael Jordan and all the sponsors that are on 2311. It's just surreal to me because I'd never envisioned my life would have ended up this way. And so it's hard to put it into words for sure.